UNFPA names award-winning journalist as Goodwill Ambassador in fight to end violence against women. Gambia's finance minister responds to queries raised by lawmakers scrutinizing the 2021 budget. And outgoing U.S. president ready to leave the White House is Electoral College formalizes Biden's win. This and more coming your way on The World Today. Hello, you're watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV. I am Amadou Kante. Many thanks for joining us. And now the news in detail. Now, award-winning journalist and author Issa Cissé has been named a Goodwill Ambassador for the UNFPA to help in the fight to end violence against women, female genital mutilation and child marriages. The former CNN anchor and news reporter broke the story of the abduction of 276 girls from their schools in Chibok, Nigeria in 2014. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Issa Cissé quit the cable news network in 2019, saying the Western media was too Trump-focused and that she will focus on things that are more important. On Wednesday, her appointment as Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations Population Fund. Cissé will help in the fight to end violence against women, female genital mutilation and child marriages. The executive director of UNFPA, Natalia Kanem, in a virtual press conference says Cissé is the right choice in the fight to uphold the rights of women and children.
Ms. Cissé has dedicated her life and career to upholding the rights of women and girls and to lending her voice to issues at the heart of the UNFPA mandate. She is the partner that UNFPA needs as we take the road to 2030. And as we fight to end maternal deaths, to end unmet need for family planning, and of course, to end gender-based violence and harmful practices. UNFPA could not have anybody more determined and passionate at our side to uphold women and girls' rights, especially their right to live free of violence and abuse.
The Britain-born journalist is the founder of the Head of Women Everywhere Can Lead, an NGO that works to empower, educate, and support adolescent girls in fulfilling their full potential. In her family's home country of Sierra Leone, Issa explains the motivation behind the fight to end FGM and violence against women.
From Sierra Leone. I'm also from a family in which my grandfather, one of his wives, was someone who performed FGM. She was what we call a cutter. And so I come from a family where this practice is known. My mother herself is a survivor. And I come from a country where up to 90% of women are subjected to FGM. So this is an issue that I'm very much going to be taking on as a Goodwill Ambassador with the UNFPA team. I just really want to say that as we mark today the beginning of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, we have to come together. And as UNFPA, we are already saying enough to all forms of violence against women and girls. And I'll be using, my voice, my privilege and my position in the months and years ahead to ensure that that message is heard loud and clear.
The seasoned journalist has covered numerous breaking news stories and events of global interest. As an anchor and correspondent at CNN for more than a decade, Cissé broke the story of the Boko Haram adoption of 276 girls in Nigeria. She was the only journalist on the ground to accompany 21 of the girls back home in 2016. Her reporting was the driving force behind the global campaign Bring Back Our Girls movement. Cissé's nomination as UNFPA Goodwill Ambassador came at the start of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, a global campaign to end abuse and discrimination against women and girls. As the world was hit by a deadly virus almost a year now, the rate of gender-based violence continues to rise. According to the UNFPA, 15 million additional instances of gender-based violence were projected for every 3 months of lockdown. For Africa TV, Sohna Tungara.
And from the report there by Sohna Tungara, next to Tunisia, where more than 100 Tunisian NGOs threatened to sue the Italian state to the International Court of Justice and the European Court of Human Rights over the exportation of waste to the North African country. Environmental experts say that over 100,000 tons of waste is annually imported into Tunisia, leaving activists concerned about the severe damage it is causing to the environment. An investigation into the alleged scandal has been launched to look into the matter, according to the authorities. Here are more details of that in this report.
The Green Tunisia Network, which brings together more than 100 active NGOs, threatened to file a complaint before the International Court of Justice and the European Court of Human Rights in the case of waste imported from Italy.
This is a national security issue. The Italian state has violated the sovereignty of Tunisia's national territory, given that this activity is harmful to the environment and human health.
Environmental experts explain that the Tunisian company annually imports nearly 120,000 tons of waste from Italy and receives 48 euros for each ton. Activists accuse the Environment Department, as well as the Italian and the Tunisian companies, of ecological terrorism.
The Tunisian company which is involved in this scandal did not act on its own. It has Italian partners and Tunisian state officials who turned a blind eye to this unprecedented environmental catastrophe. All people who authorize the import of waste from Italy will be held to account.
The Minister of Environment and Local Affairs informed the head of state that he ordered an investigation into the scandal. Authorities declared that 70 containers of waste have been sealed, pending the return to Italy, while 212 containers are still at the port of Sousse.
The export from the port in Italy was made with fake documents because the Tunisian importing company declared the containers were full of recyclable plastic waste, which is not true. The investigation is underway. The ministry did not grant any authorization. It will take all appropriate legal measures to address this kind of abuse.
Tunisia is a signatory to several international waste conventions. There are mainly the Basel Convention on the Control of Transboundary Movements of Hazardous Wastes and their Disposal, and the Bamako Convention on the Ban on the Import into Africa of Hazardous Wastes and on the Control of Transboundary Movements and Management of Hazardous Wastes within Africa.
The Tunisian law clearly regulates the field of waste disposal. Therefore, it is strictly prohibited to import hazardous waste into the North African state. Environmental activists hope that the case will not be treated and classified as an ordinary customs offense.
Now, to matters of the National Assembly, because Gambia's Finance Minister was at the National Assembly to respond to concern raised on the proposed budget for 2021. Mamburin Jai also discussed cuts to the draft budget estimate by the Public Finance and Accounts Committee. The CC has more of that in this report.
The Public and Finance Account Committee made cuts to the proposed estimates of up to $900 million. Sectors affected in the draft budget cuts include the Office of the President. Honorable Alhaji Mbow, a National Assembly member for Upper Salum, said the Office of the President has been reluctant to make cuts proposed by the committee.
What came from the Office of the President was on the electricity and water, to cut $4 million there. Then they also asked us to cut upkeep of State House, $5 million. Then the subvention, $1 million, and the other subvention, $2 million. But we asked them to cut 20, but they cut only 12. So that's the reason why we took it ourselves to do the cutting ourselves. So, but they did not do exactly what we told them. So we decided to cut that particular line item.
In response to this, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Mamburin Jai, said the government is owing NAWEC a huge amount of areas which needs to be paid for the company to work effectively.
And water, just understand the amount that we owe to NAWEC is so huge, and we have now mob up everything, and we are saying that we will be taking care of it. So it's already been voted. It's beyond us. Just for you to understand that there are implications. NAWEC is really down, and by way of trying to lift them up, we are now paying the areas. Over time, most of them have now, the meters have now been converted to cash power. Most of the areas are long, over a decade. So we are paying those areas.
The Public Finance and Accounts Committee increased the budget of the Office of the Ombudsman to $25 million from its total estimates of $21 million. The reasons are that the office has started losing its employees to other institutions due to low salaries. For iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
Finance Minister Mamburin Jai responding to questions raised by parliamentarians on the 2021 budget. Now, from that report from Matters of the National Assembly, next to the U.S., where the U.S. President Donald Trump said for the first time that although it will be very hard to concede, he will leave office if the Electoral College formalizes the victory of President-elect Joe Biden. However, Trump on Thursday told journalists that this month's presidential election was massively rigged in favor of Democrats. Sona Tunkra has more details of that in this report.
The Trump administration continues to make unsubstantiated claims about a rigged vote, and without evidence of fraud or election malpractice, Trump has refused to concede to President-elect Joe Biden since election results were unofficially announced. Although Trump said he will certainly concede power to President-elect Joe Biden after the discretion of the Electoral College, his claims of election fraud still persist.
Well, if they do, they made a mistake, because this election was a fraud. Just so you understand, this election was a fraud. I mean, they have Biden beating Obama on Obama's vote in areas that mattered in terms of the election, in swing states. And yet he's losing to Obama all over the place. But he's beating Obama in swing states, which are the states that mattered for purposes of the election. So, no, I can't say that at all. I think it's a possibility. They're trying to, look, between you people, don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. I'm the President of the United States. Don't ever talk to the President that way. All right, I'm going to go with another question. Go ahead.
Trump also said he will not talk about the next elections in 2024, but says his challenge to the results will go a long way.
Well, no, I don't want to talk about 2024 yet, because this is far from being. Look. I and the people that work in this are very professional, and all of this stuff is coming. A lot of it came out. If you look at the Philadelphia meeting, if you look at the Pennsylvania meeting yesterday, a lot of it came out. This has a long way to go.
U.S. President Donald Trump's refusal to accept defeat in the November 3rd U.S. election is delaying the transitional handing over of office to the President-elect Joe Biden. Biden earlier this month showed concern that Trump's lack of coordination could result in the death of many more people as the pandemic ravages the country. For iAfrica TV, Sohna Tunkara.
Outgoing U.S. President Donald Trump seemingly now ready to leave the White House. That is, if the Electoral College confirms Biden's win. But until then, we wait and see what's going to happen. But for now, though, we'll take a break and come back shortly with the remainder of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV. And now to the rest of the stories. To some such news now, because Argentinian football fans on Thursday had the opportunity to pay their last respect to Diego Armando Maradona, who passed away on Wednesday after suffering a heart attack. More than 1 million people from all walks of life gathered to show their respect and admiration to one of the world's most iconic and greatest all-time footballers. The fans could not hide their emotions as they say goodbye to the man who had done so much for them in many different ways. Here are more details of that in this report.
As the nation mourns the death of Diego Maradona, Thursday saw an emotionally charged celebration of his life as Argentines came to say a final farewell to their hero.
Diego is happiness. He is the happiness of these people. That is why people love him.
News that Maradona passed away on Wednesday after suffering a heart attack shocked Argentina and the world. The vigil was held at Government House in the very heart of Buenos Aires, and people began arriving as early as 6 a.m. It's thought over 1 million people have come to pay their respects to Diego Maradona, the man that they knew simply as El Diego. He was a man who meant many different things to many different people. At any one time in his life, he was a superstar, an icon, and a troubled man who battled addiction, but who represented and defended Argentina like perhaps nobody before him.
When I was little, I idolized him. He was always questioned. I came to say goodbye. I'm very emotional. He was the greatest.
Today is a day of mixed emotions. There is great sadness. I arrived early and many people are crying. But Diego left us this strength and unity amongst ourselves. So this is almost a celebration.
You are going to see all people from all walks of life here, working class, poor. Diego fought for the working classes and people with little income. And here today, there are old people, but also young kids who never saw him play. That is what Maradona did. He brought us all together.
Argentines are left with the memories and legacy of his World Cup triumph and of a controversial man whose appeal was universal.
Argentinians there saying goodbye to the iconic greatest footballer, Diego Maradona, who passed away on Wednesday, and he was laid to rest on Thursday. Now, of course, finally, we come back home and report on matters of the TRC because former intelligence chief Bo Baji was arrested by the NIA operatives and locked up at a Mile 2, Gambia's maximum security prison. He was accused of being involved in a coup plot alongside ex-army chief Langton Tamba. Now, Omar Ahmad Toure has more details of that in this report.
After his arrest in 2009, Bo Baji was taken to the headquarters of the National Intelligence Agency in Banjul for a supposed interrogation. To his surprise, he was promised freedom if he agreed to be used as a state witness to implicate his co-accused in an alleged coup plot against the former dictator Yahya Jammeh. But when Bo Baji denied any knowledge of the alleged coup in which the former army chief Langton Tamba was allegedly involved, he received a nasty slap from Lieutenant Colonel Solo Bojang. The Truth Commission had on Thursday.
Said, sir, you just have to persevere.
Lang fake. Lang implicate.
And implicate Lang.
Kaya sukuta kwa?
Said Sukuta, and he answered,
Kaya ko, ite doku kente kotole.
You have worked under me.
Sukuta, fo inte ni mfaniale lombang?
But do you know me as someone who lies? We have the audio, we have the video.
Inshallah,
video
Ko sukuta, fo inte mfaniale lombang?
Sukuta, do you know me as a liar? You worked with me.
For what?
Sometime. And I work with others also for some time. Today you are coming to tell me to implicate Lang. I said, Sukuta, I will not do it today, I will not do it tomorrow, and even if it means dying.
Bo Baji said that Richard Chenge, the director of public prosecution, also wanted him to implicate Langton Tamba in the alleged coup, but he refused. 3 months later, Bo Baji was picked up again, one night, handcuffed, blindfolded, and taken to the headquarters of the National Intelligence Agency. There he was told that he, Langton and others are accused of plotting a coup against Yahya Jammeh.
I heard someone say, sit on the floor. Sita.
I sat down. I saw someone bringing a polythene bag and put it over my head. And then they started to question me. If you don't speak the truth here, we'll kill you. And they were squeezing my neck. And they tightened the polythene bag over my head. I think amongst them, one of them was smoking. And he put up his cigarette butt on me. It was very painful. Very painful.
The 56-year-old Bobaji survived an assassination attempt as someone had his killers debating over where his body was to be buried and decided to follow them and succeeded in convincing the group leader to let him go. Lamin Bobaji enlisted into the Gambian army in 1987. He served in peacekeeping missions in both Liberia and Sierra Leone. He was a former director of military intelligence. For iAfrica TV, I am Omar Ahmad Toure.
All right, that's Lamin Bobaji there, the former NIO director who appeared before the commission on Thursday to narrate his experiences at the hands of the NIA. And of course, viewers, with that report, we finally bring this news bulletin to an end. But for more details of this and other stories, as always, you can log on to our website on africa.tv. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and